The voicemail came at 2 in the morning. I almost didn't listen to it. Who calls at that hour with good news? But something made me reach for my phone in the darkness, squinting at the screen. My cousin Lily's name glowed there, and even before I pressed play, I knew something was terribly wrong. Her voice was barely a whisper, broken by tears. "Jenna, I need you to know the truth before anyone else tells you, before it all comes out. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't hate me." Then silence, just breathing and soft crying, and then the line went dead. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding. Lily and I had been close our whole lives, closer than sisters, people always said. We'd shared everything from childhood secrets to adult struggles. I was the maid of honor at her wedding 5 years ago. She was the first person I called when my engagement ended. We talked almost every day. What could she possibly need to confess at 2 in the morning that would make her think I'd hate her? I called her back immediately. It rang and rang, then went to voicemail. I tried again and again. By the 4th attempt, my husband James stirred beside me. "What's wrong?" he mumbled, still half asleep. "It's Lily. Something's happened. She left this strange message." My phone lit up with a text. Not from Lily, but from my Aunt Carol, Lily's mother. "Have you talked to Lily? She's not answering her phone. I'm worried sick. There's been some kind of emergency with her and David." David, Lily's husband. My stomach dropped. Another text came through, this time from my mother. "Call me as soon as you wake up. It's about Lily and the family. This is going to be difficult." Then another from my Uncle Paul. "I know it's late, but if Lily contacts you, please let us know she's safe. Things have gotten complicated." I stared at my phone as message after message came in. The entire family was awake. Everyone looking for Lily, everyone cryptic about what actually happened. James was fully awake now, sitting up beside me. "Jenna, what's going on?" "I don't know, but I think something really bad has happened." The truth came out sunrise, not from Lily, but from my mother, who called in tears. "She's okay physically," she said first, which somehow made everything worse. "But honey, you need to prepare yourself. David found out about an affair." An affair. The word hung in the air like something toxic. "David was having an affair?" I asked, trying to make sense of it. David, who seemed so devoted to Lily, who posted anniversary tributes on social media, who everyone said was the perfect husband. "No," my mother said, and her voice cracked. "Not David, but Lily." The room tilted. "That's not possible. Lily would never—" "There's more, sweetheart, and it's going to be hard to hear. The person she's been seeing, it's someone we know, someone in the family." My mouth went dry. "Who?" My mother was quiet for so long I thought the call had dropped. Then, barely audible, "James's brother. Lily has been having an affair with Ryan." Ryan, my brother-in-law, James's younger brother who lived 2 states away, who we saw maybe 3 times a year at family gatherings. Ryan, who was at our house just last month for Thanksgiving, laughing and playing cards with us, while Lily and David sat across the table, seemingly perfectly happy. I looked at James beside me, his face confused and concerned, not yet knowing what I'd just learned. Not yet knowing that his brother had been sleeping with my cousin, that 2 marriages were imploding, that our entire family was about to be torn apart. "Mom, I have to go," I whispered and ended the call. James touched my arm. "Jenna, what did she say?" I opened my mouth to tell him, but nothing came out. How do you tell your husband that his brother and your cousin have been betraying everyone? That the affair that just destroyed Lily's marriage was with someone sitting at our Thanksgiving table a month ago? My phone buzzed again. Another voicemail from Lily, time-stamped just minutes ago. "Jenna, I know you know now. I know everyone knows. And I need you to understand, it wasn't supposed to happen. I never meant to fall in love with him. I never meant to hurt anyone, but I did. God, I hurt everyone. And now I've lost everything, and I deserve it, but please let me explain before you decide I'm a monster.
Fall in love with him. Not just an affair then, not just sex and secrets. Love. I looked at James, at the man I'd married, at the trust in his eyes that was about to shatter, and I realized that Lily's confession wasn't just going to destroy her world, it was going to destroy all of ours. Lily and I grew up 3 houses apart on Maple Grove Lane. Our mothers were sisters who'd married men from the same hometown, and they deliberately bought houses on the same street so we could grow up together. It worked better than they could have imagined. Lily and I were inseparable from the time we could walk. We were the same age, born just 2 months apart. We shared clothes, friends, secrets, dreams. When kids at school asked if we were twins, we'd just smile and say, basically. In all the ways that mattered, we were. Our families did everything together. Sunday dinners rotated between houses, vacations were joint affairs, renting beach houses big enough for both families, camping trips where our dads would set up tents side by side. Holidays were loud, chaotic gatherings with cousins and aunts and uncles filling every room. It was the kind of family people envied. Close, but not suffocating. Supportive, but not intrusive. We genuinely liked each other, chose to spend time together even when obligation didn't require it. Lily was the adventurous one growing up, bold and spontaneous, always pushing boundaries, always chasing the next thrill. She talked me into sneaking out at 16, into trying my first beer, into dyeing my hair purple senior year. But she was also fiercely loyal, protective, the kind of friend who would drive 3 hours in the middle of the night if you needed her. I was more cautious, more of a planner. Lily used to joke that I color-coded my rebellion, but we balanced each other. I kept her from going too far off the rails. She kept me from being too rigid. We made sense together. We went to different colleges, but talked every day. When I got engaged to James during my senior year, Lily flew home immediately to celebrate with me, even though she had finals. When she met David a year later, I was the first person she called. "Jenna, I think he's the one," she'd said, breathless and giddy. "I know everyone says that, but I really think this is it." David was good for Lily, stable where she was impulsive, calm where she was chaotic. He was an accountant, methodical and detail-oriented, with a dry human of sense that perfectly complemented Lily's wild energy. They moved in together after 6 months, got engaged a year after that. James and I had already been married for 2 years by then. We'd done the young marriage thing, struggling to pay rent, eating ramen, building a life from nothing. James worked in IT consulting, traveled a lot for work in those early years. It was hard sometimes, but we made it work. James came from a smaller family than I did. Just him, his younger brother Ryan, and their parents who lived in Florida. Where my family was loud and constant, his was quieter, more spread out. They loved each other, but weren't in each other's pockets the way mine was. Ryan was 4 years younger than James, still in college when we got married. He'd show up at our apartment occasionally, crashing on our couch between semesters, always charming and easygoing. James adored him, had basically helped raise him after their father got sick when Ryan was in middle school. He's a good kid, just needs to find his way. Ryan found his way eventually, got a job in Chicago doing something with marketing, met a girl named Amy at a coffee shop, and fell hard and fast. They got married in a small ceremony, just immediate family, because Amy was shy and didn't want a big production. Amy was sweet, quiet and gentle, the kind of person who apologized when you bumped into her. She taught elementary school, loved baking, wanted a house full of children someday. And Ryan and Amy seemed happy in that settled, comfortable way some couples have. Lily and David's wedding was the opposite. Huge and loud, 300 people, a band that played until 2 in the morning. I stood beside Lily as her maid of honor, helped her into her dress, fixed her makeup when she cried happy tears. David cried too when he saw her walking down the aisle. It was perfect. Those first few years of their marriage seemed good. They bought a house, adopted a rescue dog, settled into routines. Lily got a job in pharmaceutical sales that had her traveling a lot. David worked long hours during tax season. They were busy, but happy, or so it seemed. James and I were busy too. He'd gotten a promotion that required even more travel. We were trying to start a family, going through the stress of fertility treatments that weren't working. It was a hard season, but we leaned on each other, went to counseling, worked through it. Family gatherings became our refuge. Those loud Sunday dinners, the joint vacations, the holidays where we could forget about work stress and failed pregnancy tests and just be together. Lily was my anchor during that time. She'd hold my hand during family dinners when someone inevitably asked about kids, would change the subject, would text me later with funny memes to make me laugh. "We'll get through this together," she'd say. "Both of us. Whatever we're facing, we'll get through it together." I believed her. We've gotten through everything else together, heartbreaks and failures and disappointments. Why would this be different? Ryan and Amy moved to a suburb outside Chicago, about 3 hours from where James and I lived, 4 hours from Lily and David. We didn't see them often, maybe Christmas, Thanksgiving, the occasional summer barbecue when they were in town visiting James's parents. But 2 years ago, Ryan's company opened a regional office in our city. He took a position there and he and Amy relocated. Suddenly, they were 20 minutes away instead of 3 hours. "This is great," James said when Ryan told us. "We'll actually get to see you guys regularly, have you over for dinner, do game nights, all that family stuff."
And we did. Ryan and Amy became part of our regular rotation. Sunday dinners at our house or theirs, double dates to movies or restaurants. Amy and I got closer. She confided about their own struggles to get pregnant, and I appreciated having someone who understood. Lily and David joined us sometimes too. The 6 of us would meet up for dinners, go to concerts, celebrate birthdays together. It seemed natural, easy. Our families blending, creating new traditions. I remember one night, about 18 months ago, all 6 of us at our house for dinner. Lily was telling some story about a disastrous sales call, acting it out, making us all laugh until we cried. Ryan was sitting across from her, grinning at her performance. David had his arm around Lily's shoulders. Amy was laughing so hard she was wiping tears. James was pouring more wine. It was perfect. We were all exactly where we were supposed to be. Except we weren't. And I had no idea that something had already started. Something that would destroy everything. Looking back now, I can see moments that should have been clues. The way Lily would check her phone constantly during our lunches together, smiling at messages she wouldn't share. The way Ryan started showing up at family dinners without Amy more often, saying she was tired or not feeling well. The way Lily and David seemed more distant, sitting on opposite ends of the couch instead of curled up together. But I didn't see it. None of us did. Or maybe we didn't want to see it. 6 months ago, Amy announced she was pregnant. Finally, after 3 years of trying, we celebrated with champagne and tears of joy. Ryan seemed thrilled, posting ultrasound pictures on social media, talking about nursery colors and baby names. Lily was quieter than usual at that celebration. I asked her if she was okay, and she said she was just tired from work travel. I believed her. 3 months ago, Lily started acting strange, pulling away from our daily phone calls, canceling lunch dates, seeming distracted when we did talk. I worried she was depressed, asked if she needed to talk. She said everything was fine, just stressed about work. I believed that too. Last month at Thanksgiving, we all gathered at my parents' house. The whole extended family, plus Ryan and Amy. Lily and David arrived separately. He'd been at the office, she said, working on year-end accounts. They barely spoke to each other all evening. I noticed, but figured they'd had a fight, that it would blow over. Ryan and Lily ended up doing dishes together while the rest of us watched football in the living room. I walked into the kitchen to get more wine and found them laughing over something, standing closer than they needed to be. Lily stepped back when she saw me, and Ryan suddenly seemed very interested in scrubbing a pan. "You two having fun?" I asked lightly. "Just reminiscing about that time David got food poisoning at your summer barbecue. Remember how dramatic he was?" I laughed and grabbed my wine and left them to the dishes. Didn't think anything of it. That was 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, and I had no idea that my cousin and my brother-in-law were in love, that they'd been carrying on an affair right in front of all of us, that everything I thought I knew about the people I loved most was a lie. 2 days ago, David found out. I still don't know how. My mother wasn't clear on the details. But he confronted Lily and everything exploded. Lily admitted it, told David she was in love with Ryan, that it had been going on for over a year, that she wanted a divorce. David called Ryan and Amy, told them everything. Amy, 7 months pregnant, learned that her husband had been cheating on her with his sister-in-law, that the man who'd been posting excited updates about their baby was in love with someone else. And then everyone started calling everyone else. My mother called Lily's mother, James's mother called James. The whole family network lit up with shock and horror and disbelief. Except James and me. Somehow we were the last to know, the last to learn that our family had imploded. Until that phone call at sunrise, until my mother's voice telling me the truth. Now, sitting in bed with James looking at me with confused concern, I had to find the words to tell him. Had to watch his face change when he learned what his brother had done, had to figure out how we were supposed to navigate this. "James," I said quietly, "I need to tell you something about Ryan."
I watched James's face as I told him, watched confusion turn to disbelief, then to something harder. Anger, maybe, or betrayal. He stood up from the bed, paced to the window, stood with his back to me. "Ryan and Lily," he said finally, his voice flat. "My brother and your cousin. Yes, for over a year. That's what Mom said." He turned to face me, and I'd never seen him look like that before. Lost. Amy's pregnant. She's 7 months pregnant with his child, and He couldn't finish. "I know. Did you know? Before this?" The question hit me like a slap. "No, God, no, James. I had no idea. I would have told you immediately if I'd known." He studied my face, then nodded. "I need to call Ryan." "Maybe wait until when, Jenna? Until it's a convenient time to find out my brother's been destroying his marriage and ours along with it? How is he destroying our marriage?" James laughed bitterly. "You don't think this affects us? Your cousin and my brother. How are we supposed to navigate this? Who do we support? How do we even have family gatherings anymore?" He was right. I hadn't thought that far ahead, but he was right. This wasn't just Lily and Ryan's mess. It was ours too now. James called Ryan. I could only hear one side of the conversation, but it was enough. "Is it true? Don't give me that bullshit, Ryan. Is it true? Amy is pregnant. Your wife is pregnant, and I don't care how it happened. I don't care how you feel. What you did is inexcusable. No, I don't want to hear about love. You made vows, Ryan. You both did. Don't call me again until you figured out how to be a decent human being." He ended the call and threw his phone onto the bed. He admitted it, said he didn't mean for it to happen, but he's in love with her. In love. Like that makes it okay. What about Amy? He said he's going to do right by her and the baby, but he wants to be with Lily. James's hands were shaking. He's leaving his pregnant wife for your cousin. The words hung in the air. Ugly and undeniable. My phone rang. Lily.
I looked at James, uncertain. "Answer it," he said. "Maybe you can talk some sense into her." I picked up. "Lily? Jenna?" Her voice was raw from crying. "Can we meet, please? I need to explain. I don't know if that's a good idea right now. Please, just you and me, like always. I need my best friend right now, Jenna. I know I don't deserve it, but I need you." I looked at James. He shook his head slightly, but I could see he understood. Lily and I were more than cousins. You didn't just shut that off, even when someone did something unforgivable. "Okay, when?" "Now? I'm at the Riverside Park, the bench where we used to go." Our bench, where we'd spent countless afternoons as teenagers, sharing secrets and dreams. Of course she'd go there. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. After I hung up, James said, "You're really going to meet her?" "She's my family, James. So is Amy. She's your family too now, and she's the one who's actually innocent in all this." He was right again. Amy, quiet and kind, 7 months pregnant, her world falling apart, while Lily, who had made the choice to have an affair, who had chosen to blow up her marriage and someone else's along with it, got the comfort of her best friend rushing to her side. "I know," I said. I need to hear it from her. I need to understand how this happened." "There's nothing to understand. She cheated with my married brother while his wife was pregnant. It's not complicated, Jenna. It's just wrong." I drove to the park in a daze. The sun was fully up now. Early morning joggers and dog walkers, making the world seem normal when everything had just shattered. I found Lily on our bench, hunched over, her face in her hands. She looked up when she heard me approach. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing the same clothes from yesterday. She looked broken. "Jenna," she whispered, standing up. I didn't hug her. Couldn't make myself do it. I just sat down on the bench, and after a moment, she sat beside me, not touching, a careful space between us that had never existed before.
"Tell me," I said. Lily took a shaky breath. "It started at your 4th of July party last year. You remember? Amy wasn't feeling well, went home early. David got called into work for some emergency. Ryan and I ended up being the last ones there, helping you clean up." I remembered. I'd been grateful for the help, had left them in the kitchen while I dealt with something in the garage. They'd been laughing when I came back in, finishing the last of the wine. "We just talked," Lily continued. "Really talked, for the first time ever, about everything. Our marriages, our lives, feeling stuck. He told me things about Amy that made me realize they weren't happy, and I told him things about David, about how we barely talked anymore, how it felt more like a business arrangement than a marriage." "So you decided to have an affair?" "No, not then. That night nothing happened, but we started texting. Just as friends at first, checking in, making each other laugh. Then we started meeting for coffee. Casual, innocent, or I told myself it was innocent. When did it become not innocent?" Lily's voice dropped to barely a whisper. 3 months later, October. David was out of town for a conference. Ryan said Amy was visiting her sister. We met for dinner, and afterward he walked me to my car and he kissed me. And I kissed him back. And I knew in that moment that I had been lying to myself about what this was. "But you didn't stop." "I should have. God, Jenna, I know I should have. But for the first time in years, I felt alive. I felt seen. Ryan looked at me like I was this amazing, fascinating person instead of just someone going through the motions of life."
David loves you, Lily. David loves the idea of me, the version of me that fits into his organized life. But Ryan loves the real me, the messy, impulsive, complicated me. Ryan is married to a woman who's having his baby. She flinched. I know how bad this is. I know what I've done to Amy, and it kills me. But Jenna, I love him. I'm in love with him in a way I've never been in love with anyone, and I don't know how to unfeel that. You don't get to play the victim here, Lily. You made choices. You chose to betray David, to help Ryan betray Amy, to lie to everyone who loves you. I'm not trying to be the victim. I know I'm the villain in this story, but I need you to understand. Understand what? That love makes it okay? It doesn't. You didn't just hurt David and Amy. You hurt me. You hurt James. You made us complicit by carrying on this affair right in front of us, by sitting at our dinner table and smiling and acting normal while lying to everyone. Tears streamed down Lily's face. I wanted to tell you so many times, almost did 100 times, but I knew you'd be disappointed in me, that I'd lose you, and I couldn't face that. So you just kept lying. Yes, I'm a coward. I'm selfish and weak and a terrible person. I know that. But Jenna, please don't hate me. I can lose everything else, but I can't lose you. I looked at my cousin, my childhood best friend, the person who knew me better than almost anyone. And I felt something crack inside me. Not forgiveness, not understanding, just grief for what we'd been and couldn't be again. I don't hate you, I said quietly, but I don't know who you are right now. The Lily I knew wouldn't do this. Maybe the Lily you knew was always partly a performance. Maybe this is who I've always been, and I just hid it better. What does that even mean? Lily turned to face me fully. You know how everyone always said we were like twins? But we weren't, Jenna. You were always the good one, the one who made the right choices, colored inside the lines, did what was expected. And I was the one who had to try harder to fit that mold, who felt things too much, wanted things too much, could never quite be satisfied with the safe, approved path. So this is my fault for being too good? No, God, no. It's my fault. All of it. I'm just saying, I've been pretending to be someone I'm not for a long time. With David, with the family, even with you sometimes. And with Ryan, I don't have to pretend. I can just be myself, even the ugly parts. And he still... She stopped. He still what? Loves you? Lily, he's leaving his pregnant wife. That's not love. That's selfishness on both your parts. You're right. You're completely right. But it doesn't change how I feel. We sat in silence for a moment. A jogger passed by, earbuds in, oblivious to the conversation happening on our bench. I envied that obliviousness. What happens now? I asked finally. David wants a divorce, obviously. I moved out yesterday, staying at a hotel until I can find an apartment. Ryan he's trying to figure things out with Amy, but he's gonna leave her after the baby comes. We're gonna be together. You're going to be together. At family gatherings? Holidays? How is that supposed to work, Lily? You're my cousin. He's James's brother. We can't just all play happy family. I know it's impossible, But maybe after some time, everyone will understand. Understand what? That you fell in love and that makes betrayal okay? No one is going to understand that, Lily. You're delusional if you think they will. Her face crumbled. So what am I supposed to do? Give him up? Go back to being miserable with David just to make everyone else comfortable? You're supposed to face the consequences of your choices. You're supposed to acknowledge that what you did was wrong, not just inconvenient. I do acknowledge it, but acknowledging it doesn't make me love him less. My phone buzzed. A text from James. How's it going? Are you okay? I showed it to Lily. He's worried about me. Because this affects us too. Your affair doesn't just hurt you and David and Amy. It hurts everyone who loves you. I know. God, Jenna, I know. What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry? I am. That I wish I could undo it? I can't. That I hate myself for hurting everyone? I do. But I can't make myself not love him. I can't make myself regret the only time in my life I felt truly alive. I stood up. I need to go. Please don't leave like this. Please, Jenna.
I don't know what you want from me, Lily. Absolution? I can't give you that. Understanding? I don't have it. You made your choices. Now you have to live with them. We all do. Will you at least keep talking to me? I know you're angry, but please don't shut me out completely. I looked at her. This woman who'd been my other half for 32 years, who knew every secret, every dream, every fear, who'd held my hand through heartbreaks and celebrated every joy, and who just destroyed any certainty I had about knowing the people I loved. I don't know, I said honestly. Right now, I can't even look at you without feeling betrayed. I need time. How much time? I don't know that either. I walked back to my car, leaving her on the bench. In my rearview mirror, I could see her sitting there, shoulders shaking with sobs. Part of me wanted to go back, to comfort her like I always had. But a bigger part knew that some things couldn't be fixed with a hug and reassurances. When I got home, James was on the phone in the kitchen. "She's here," he said. "I'll call you back." He hung up and looked at me. That was Amy. How is she? Devastated. Her sister flew in to be with her. She wanted to know if we knew, if everyone knew, if she was the last to find out. What did you tell her? That we found out this morning, that we had no idea. He paused. She asked about Lily. If you talked to her, I said you were meeting her now. And Amy started crying. Said she couldn't understand how Lily could do this to another woman, how she could know what it's like to be married and still destroy someone else's marriage. I sank into a chair. This is such a mess, James. It's gonna get worse. My mom called. She's flying up next week, wants to talk to Ryan face to face. Your Aunt Carol called your mom hysterical about Lily ruining her life. David's parents are threatening to sue Lily for something. I don't even know what. Maybe just out of anger. Sue her? People do crazy things when their families fall apart. He sat down across from me. Jenna, we need to decide where we stand in this, because everyone is going to expect us to pick sides. How do we pick sides? She's my cousin. He's your brother. I know, but Amy is innocent. David is innocent. They're the ones who deserve our support. I know that logically, but emotionally, Lily is like my sister, James. I can't just abandon her, even after what she did. I don't know. Maybe. I don't have answers right now. James reached across the table and took my hand. We'll figure it out together. But Jenna, I need you to know that I can't have Ryan in our house right now. Not after this. Not while Amy is pregnant and alone.
I understand. And if Lily expects us to celebrate this relationship, to act like it's some beautiful love story instead of an affair that destroyed 2 marriages, I can't do that either. She knows that, I think, or she will. But even as I said it, I wasn't sure. Lily had seemed almost defiant in her love for Ryan, like if she just believed hard enough that it was meant to be, everyone else would have to accept it. The rest of that day passed in a blur of phone calls. My mother called, wanting to know what Lily had said. Lily's mother called, begging me to talk sense into her daughter. David called, apologizing for the mess, asking if I'd known. Each conversation was harder than the last. That evening, I got a text from Lily. I know you need space, but I need you to know I don't regret loving him. I regret hurting people, but I don't regret the love. I hope someday you can understand that. I showed the text to James. She doesn't get it, he said. She still thinks the love makes it noble somehow. Maybe for her it does. And what do you think? I thought about it, really thought about it. I think love without integrity is just selfishness with better PR. James smiled sadly. When did you get so wise? When my best friend broke my heart by loving your brother. We held each other that night, grieving for the family we'd had, for the simplicity that was gone forever. Tomorrow would bring more fallout, more confrontations, more impossible choices. But tonight, we just held on to each other and tried to remember who we were before this mess consumed us all.
3 days after the affair came to light, my mother called a family meeting. Not a request, a summons. Everyone was expected at my parents' house Sunday afternoon. No excuses, no exceptions. This family is falling apart, she'd said on the phone, her voice harder than I'd ever heard it. And we are going to deal with it face to face, like adults, before we lose each other completely. Mom, I don't think putting Lily and David in the same room right now is a good idea. I don't care what's a good idea, Jenna. I care about what's necessary. This family has survived worse than an affair and will survive this, but not if we're all hiding in our separate corners pointing fingers. I doubted we'd actually survived anything worse than this, but I didn't argue. James and I arrived early. My parents' house, usually warm and welcoming, felt tense and cold, despite the fireplace blazing. My mother was in the kitchen, stress baking. There were 3 pies cooling on the counter, a sure sign she was barely holding it together. Is Lily coming? I asked. She said she would. So did David. Your Aunt Carol is bringing both of them separately. Mom wiped her hands on her apron, her movements jerky and anxious. Ryan is supposed to be here too. What about Amy? She declined, said she couldn't be in the same room with them. I don't blame her. That poor girl. 7 months pregnant, and her husband. She couldn't finish. People started arriving. My father, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Aunt Carol, her eyes red and swollen. Uncle Paul, Lily's older brother Marcus and his wife. James's parents, who'd driven up from Florida overnight when they heard. David arrived first, looking hollow. He hugged my mother, shook my father's hand, sat in the corner chair, and stared at nothing. I wanted to say something to him, but couldn't find words that didn't sound empty. Then Lily came in, and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. She looked smaller somehow, shoulders hunched, avoiding eye contact with everyone. She started to sit on the couch, but Marcus, her own brother, said coldly, "Not there. That's where Amy usually sits." Lily flinched and moved to a folding chair someone had brought in from the dining room. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. She was literally being pushed to the margins. Ryan was the last to arrive. He walked in and stopped when he saw David. For a moment, I thought David might lunge at him. James stepped slightly in front of his brother. Whether to protect or confront him, I couldn't tell. "Everyone sit down," my mother said, her voice brooking no argument. "Family," David said bitterly. "Right, because this is what families do, destroy each other." David, Lily started. Don't say my name. Don't talk to me. You lost that right. My mother held up her hand. There will be time for anger, but first I want to understand how this happened. How two people we raised, who made vows, who we thought we knew, how did we get here? Love, Ryan said quietly. It was the first word he had spoken since arriving. James's father made a disgusted sound. You were already in love, Ryan, with your wife, who's carrying your child. I know, and I hate myself for that, but I can't help how I feel. Yes, you can, James interrupted, his voice sharp. Feelings are one thing, actions are another. You chose to act on those feelings. You chose to betray Amy. Don't hide behind love like it's some force of nature you couldn't control. When did it start? Aunt Carol asked, looking at Lily. The truth. When did my daughter become someone who could do something like this? Lily's hands were shaking. Last summer, at Jenna's 4th of July party. So you've been lying to us for over a year. Coming to family dinners, celebrating holidays, smiling and laughing while conducting an affair. While I worried about you working too much, about you seeming stressed, you were sneaking around with a married man. I'm sorry, Mom. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did! Aunt Carol was crying now. You've hurt all of us. You've humiliated David, destroyed Amy, torn this family apart. For what? For some infatuation? It's not an infatuation, Lily said, her voice rising. I love him. I'm in love with him in a way I never was with David, and I know that's hard to hear, but it's the truth. David stood up so fast his chair fell backward. You want to talk about truth? Let's talk about truth. Let's talk about how you told me you were working late when you were with him, how you used my own insecurities against me, made me think I was the problem, that I was too boring, too focused on work. You made me doubt myself like you were sleeping with someone else. I'm sorry, David. Sorry? You're sorry? Do you know what the last year has been like for me? Trying to figure out why my wife was pulling away, why sex felt obligatory, why you flinched when I touched you. I thought I was losing my mind. I thought maybe you were sick or depressed or just falling out of love with me. Never did I think you were fucking my wife's cousin's husband. The room went silent. David never swore, never raised his voice. Seeing him this broken was somehow worse than anything else. I think we all need to calm down, my father said, but his voice was weak. Calm down? David laughed bitterly. Your niece destroyed my marriage and you want me to calm down. No, I'm done being calm. I'm done being understanding. I want answers. I want to know how long you're going to keep defending her. We're not defending her, my mother said. We're trying to understand. There's nothing to understand. She cheated, she lied, she made her choice, and now she gets to live with the consequences. What consequences? Ryan said, and everyone turned to look at him. What are you going to do, David? She's asking for a divorce. You'll get one. We're not trying to hide this anymore or pretend it didn't happen. We're trying to move forward. Move forward? James's voice was ice. Ryan, Amy is 7 months pregnant. Your child. And you're talking about moving forward with the woman you cheated with? I'm going to take care of Amy and the baby. I'll pay child support, be involved. But yes, I want to be with Lily. We want to be together. Together, James's mother said, her voice shaking. At family gatherings? Holidays? You think we're all just going to accept this? Ryan and Lily exchanged a look. Something passed between them, some silent communication that made my stomach drop. We don't expect you to accept it right away, Lily said carefully, but we're hoping that eventually what? I heard myself say. Eventually we'll all be happy for you? Toast your relationship at Christmas dinner while Amy sits at home alone with your baby, Ryan, while David tries to rebuild his life from the ruins you left? Jenna, please, Lily said, and I saw tears in her eyes. You said you didn't hate me. I said I needed time. I didn't say I'd support this. There's a difference. So what? Lily's voice rose, defensive now.
I'm supposed to be punished forever? I'm supposed to be alone and miserable because I made a mistake? A mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. This isn't a mistake. It's a choice. Multiple choices over more than a year. Don't minimize what you did. I'm not minimizing it. I know it was wrong. I know I hurt people, but I also know that I love Ryan and he loves me and we want a life together. And I don't know why that makes me a monster when people leave relationships all the time. Because of how you did it, David shouted. If you'd come to me a year ago and said you weren't happy, that you wanted out, I would have been hurt, but I would have understood. We could have ended things with dignity. But instead you carried on a secret affair while pretending everything was fine. You made me believe in us while you were with someone else. That's why you're the monster, Lily. Not because you fell out of love, because you lied. Lily was crying now, really crying. I know, and I'm sorry. I've said I'm sorry 1,000 times. Sorry doesn't fix this, David said quietly. Sorry doesn't give me back the year you stole. Sorry doesn't make Amy's husband faithful. Sorry is just a word you're saying to make yourself feel better. Then what do you want from me? Lily screamed. What will make this better? Because I can't unfeel what I feel. I can't unlove him. I can't go back and make different choices. So what do you want? I want you to take responsibility, David said quietly. Not just say you're sorry. Actually take responsibility for destroying lives. Admit that what you did wasn't some beautiful love story. It was selfish and cruel and wrong. Fine. It was selfish, it was cruel, it was wrong. There. Are you happy? No, Lily, I'll never be happy again. That's what you took from me. The silence that followed was broken by Ryan's phone ringing. He looked at it and his face went white. It's Amy's sister. He stepped into the hallway to answer. We could hear his voice, muffled, then louder. What? When? Is she okay? He came back in, his face pale. Amy's in the hospital. She's in labor. They think it's stress-induced. The baby's coming 7 weeks early. The room erupted. James's mother started crying. James grabbed his keys. Ryan stood there frozen until his father shoved him toward the door. Go to your wife, you idiot. I'll drive him, James said. He's in no state. They left, the door slamming behind them. The rest of us sat in shocked silence. Oh God, the baby. Is the baby going to be okay? You don't get to care about that baby, Marcus said harshly. You're the reason Amy is in the hospital right now. That's not fair. None of this is fair, Aunt Carl turned on her daughter. That woman is having her baby 2 months early because the stress of your affair put her in early labor. If something happens to that baby, Lily, that blood is on your hands. Lily looked like she'd been slapped. I didn't mean for... You never think about consequences, Aunt Carl said, her voice breaking. You never have. You just do what you want and expect everyone else to clean up the mess. But this isn't a mess that can be cleaned up. This is people's lives. This is a baby who might not survive because you couldn't keep your legs closed. Carol, my mother gasped. No, Rose, I'm done protecting her feelings. I'm done making excuses. I raised a selfish, thoughtless woman who destroyed her marriage for an affair. And I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed to call her my daughter right now. Lily stood up, sobbing. I can't. I need to leave. Run away, Marcus said. That's what you're good at, running away when things get hard. I'm not running away. I can't breathe in here. She grabbed her coat and left. I watched her go, torn between following her or staying. David made the decision for me. Let her go, he said quietly. For once, let her face something alone. For 2 hours, we sat in my parents' living room, barely speaking, waiting for news. My mother brought out coffee and pie that no one touched. Aunt Carl cried quietly in the corner. David stared at the wall. James's parents held hands, whispering prayers. Finally, James called. The baby's okay, he said, and I could hear the relief in his voice. She's small, 4 pounds, but she's breathing on her own.
They're keeping her in NICU for observation, but the doctors are optimistic.
And Amy?
Exhausted, traumatized, but physically okay. Her sister's with her. He paused. Ryan's a mess. He's sitting in the waiting room because Amy won't let him in the room. Can you blame her? No, I really can't. After I relayed the news to everyone, people started leaving. Aunt Carol left without a word. Marcus hugged his parents and said he needed to go home to his own family, make sure they were okay. David left shortly after, looking lost. My parents and I were alone in the living room when Lily called me. "Is the baby okay?" she asked immediately. "Yes, she's in NICU, but she's gonna be fine." Lily's relief was audible. "Thank God. I've been sitting in my car for 2 hours, terrified." "Where are you?" "The hospital parking lot. I couldn't not be here, even if I can't go in." "Lily, you need to go home." "I know. Jenna, what Mom said about me being ashamed of me. Is that how you feel too?" I looked at my mother, who was crying quietly, my father with his arm around her. I thought about David's hollow eyes, about Amy in a hospital bed, about a baby born too early because of stress and heartbreak. "I don't know what I feel," I said honestly. "But Lily, you need to understand something. This isn't a love story. This is a tragedy. And you're not the heroine. You're the person who caused it." "I know that. I do. But it doesn't change the fact that I love him." "Then you're going to have to choose Ryan or this family, because I don't see how you get to have both. That's not fair." "No, none of this is fair. But those are the consequences you're facing. You can be with Ryan and lose everyone else, or you can walk away from him and try to salvage what's left of your relationships. But you can't have it all, Lily. That's not how this works." She was quiet for a long moment. "What if I can't give him up?" "Then I guess you've made your choice." I hung up before she could respond. My mother looked at me, her face etched with pain. "Do you think she'll choose him?" "I don't know, Mom. I really don't." But somewhere deep down, I suspected I did know. Lily had always chosen herself, had always followed her heart no matter the cost. Why would this time be different? The real question was, how much more could she lose before she realized what she'd given up? The baby, they named her Claire, spent 3 weeks in the NICU. Amy's sister stayed with her the entire time, and so did James's mother, who flew back up from Florida the day after the birth. The family rallied around Amy in a way that made the division crystal clear. There were those who'd been wronged and those who'd done the wronging. Ryan was allowed supervised visits with Claire, but only when Amy wasn't there. He'd sit beside the incubator, crying, whispering apologies to a baby who couldn't hear him through the glass. James told me about it one night, his voice heavy with a complicated mixture of pity and disgust. He keeps saying he didn't mean for this to happen, like that makes it better, like intention matters more than impact. I thought about Lily, who'd said almost the same thing. How many times had she said she never meant to hurt anyone, as if that absolved her of the hurt she'd caused? Lily tried to visit the hospital once. Amy's sister saw her in the lobby and told her, very clearly, that if she didn't leave immediately, security would be called. Lily left. She called me afterward, crying. "I just wanted to make sure the baby was okay. I wasn't going to try to see Amy or Ryan. I needed to see with my own eyes that she was alive." "You need to stay away, Lily. Your presence isn't helping anyone." I know, but Jenna, a baby almost died because of me. How am I supposed to live with that?" "I don't know. But the answer isn't showing up at the hospital where her mother is recovering from trauma you caused." She was quiet for a moment. "Have you seen Ryan?" "No. James has. I've been staying away from that situation entirely." Is he okay?" "Lily, his daughter was born premature because his affair stressed his wife into early labor.
What do you think? I know. I'm sorry. I miss him. We haven't been able to talk since everything came out. His parents are monitoring his phone, and he's staying with them while Amy's in the hospital. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Part of me wanted to feel sympathy, but a bigger part couldn't get past the selfishness of her worry. A baby was fighting for her life, and Lily was worried about missing her married boyfriend. Maybe losing your mind is appropriate right now. Maybe you should feel crazy and desperate and alone. Maybe that's what consequences look like. You're really done with me, aren't you? Her voice was small. I don't know what I am, Lily. I'm angry and disappointed and heartbroken. I'm grieving the cousin I thought I had, the relationship I thought we shared. I'm watching a marriage that I cared about fall apart. I don't have energy left to comfort you about missing the man you shouldn't have been with in the first place. I understand. I need you to know that I love you, that even though I've destroyed everything else, I love you and I'm sorry. I know you're sorry, but sorry doesn't fix this, Lily. Sorry's just the beginning of a very long road you're going to have to walk.
After Claire came home, still small but healthy, a miracle according to the doctors, Amy filed for divorce. She moved in with her sister temporarily, taking Claire with her. Ryan was given supervised visitation rights, and a lawyer was drawing up child support agreements. James and I went to visit Amy and Claire one afternoon. Amy looked exhausted, older than her 29 years, but when she held Claire, there was fierce love in her eyes. She's beautiful, I said, looking at the tiny baby with Ryan's nose and Amy's eyes. She is, and she's mine, not his. He gave up the right to claim her when he chose Lily over us. Amy's voice was matter of fact, but I could hear the pain underneath. I'm so sorry, Amy, for what they did, for the position this puts you in. Are you still talking to Lily? She asked directly. Barely. She calls sometimes. I mostly don't answer. Does she ask about Ryan? I hesitated, then decided honesty was better than protection. Yes. Amy nodded like she'd expected it. They're going to end up together, you know. After the divorce is final, after some time passes, they'll move somewhere new, start over, act like their relationship wasn't built on betrayal, and our families will have to decide whether to accept them or cut them off. What do you want us to do? I want you to be there for Claire. I want her to know her father's family, even if I can't stand to be around them. She deserves that. Amy looked at me with tired eyes. But Lily, I never want to see her again. I never want Claire to meet her. And if you stay close with Lily, I need you to know that we can't be close. I can't have that connection. The ultimatum was clear. Choose Lily or choose Amy. I couldn't have both. I understand. And Amy, for what it's worth, I choose you. I choose the person who was wronged, not the person who did the wronging. She nodded, tears forming. Thank you. That means more than you know. I told Lily about it the next time she called, about Amy's request, about my choice. So that's it then. You're choosing her over me. I'm choosing right over wrong, Lily. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I'm sitting, it feels like you're abandoning me when I need you most. You abandoned yourself when you started this affair, when you chose Ryan over your marriage, over your family, over every value we were raised with. I'm just acknowledging that there are consequences for those choices. But you're my family. You're supposed to love me no matter what. I do love you, but love doesn't mean supporting you unconditionally when you're destroying lives. Sometimes love means stepping back and letting you face what you've done. She hung up on me, didn't call back for 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, David filed for divorce as well. The house went on the market, joint assets were being divided. Lily had hired a lawyer, was fighting for half of everything, even though she'd been the one to cheat.
David's lawyer argued that the affair constituted fault grounds, that Lily should get less. It was ugly and public and painful for everyone. My parents were caught in the middle. Mom wanted to support her niece, but couldn't condone what she'd done. Dad was more clear-cut. What Lily did was wrong, and she needed to face consequences. But that didn't make it easier for them to watch their family fracture. "Your Aunt Carol isn't speaking to me," Mom told me one afternoon over coffee. "She thinks I'm not being supportive enough of Lily. But how can I support what she did? How can I act like this is okay? You can't and you shouldn't." "But she's family. She's my aunt's daughter. I've known her since she was born. And Amy is my sister-in-law. Claire is my niece. They're family too, and they're innocent." Mom nodded, wiping tears. "I never thought our family would break like this. I thought we were stronger." Maybe we were, but Lily and Ryan broke it from the inside. Thanksgiving came and went without our usual gathering. My parents had a quiet dinner alone. James and I spent it with Amy and Claire and Amy's family. Awkward, but right. I didn't know where Lily spent it. Didn't ask. Christmas was approaching when Lily showed up at my house unannounced. She looked different. Thinner, her hair cut short, dark circles under her eyes. She stood on my porch like a stranger, asking for directions. "Can I talk, please?" I let her in more out of shock than invitation. We sat in my living room, the space between us vast, despite being on the same couch we'd sat on 100 times.
"I'm moving," she said without preamble. "To Chicago. Ryan got a transfer request approved. We're leaving after the new year." "So you're doing it. You're actually going to be together." "Yes, I love him, Jenna. I know you don't want to hear it, but I do. And he loves me, and we're going to build a life together." "What about Claire?" "He'll fly back once a month for visitation. He's setting up college funds, paying generous child support. He's not abandoning his daughter." "Just his responsibility to be an active father?" Lily flinched. "He's doing the best he can in an impossible situation." "An impossible situation he created?" "We created. I'm not putting all this on him." "How generous of you." We sat in silence for a moment. Then Lily said, "I came to say goodbye and to tell you that I don't regret it. I regret the pain we caused, the way we handled it, the lies, but I don't regret loving him. I don't regret choosing happiness over staying in a marriage that was making me miserable." "Is that how you're framing this now? Choosing happiness?" "Yes. I spent 32 years being who everyone expected me to be, the good daughter, the loyal cousin, the perfect wife. And I was dying inside, Jenna, dying of being who I thought I should be instead of who I actually am." "And who are you, Lily? Because I don't recognize you anymore." She looked at me with clear eyes. "I'm someone who chose herself. Finally. Maybe that makes me selfish. Maybe that makes me a terrible person, but I'm alive for the first time in my life, and I'm not apologizing for that." "Even at the cost of everyone who loved you?" "Even then. Because Jenna, if you can't love me at my worst, then you never really loved me at all." "Don't quote platitudes at me. This isn't about loving you at your worst. This is about watching you hurt people and asking me to celebrate it." "I'm not asking you to celebrate. I'm asking you to understand." "I can't. I've tried, but I can't understand choosing someone else's husband over your own integrity. I can't understand destroying Amy's family for your happiness. I can't understand any of this." Lily stood up. "Then I guess this is goodbye, because I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to be with Ryan, and I'm going to build a life I actually want. And if that means losing you, losing the family, losing everything I had before, then that's what it costs." "Don't make yourself a martyr, Lily. You're not sacrificing for love. You're running away from consequences." Maybe I'm finally running towards something instead of away from it." She headed for the door, then turned back. I hope someday you can forgive me. Not for me, but for you, because carrying this anger is going to poison you eventually. And what about you? What are you carrying? Guilt, every day, but also hope and love and the possibility of being genuinely happy instead of performing happiness for an audience. After she left, I sat in my living room and cried, not for Lily or not just for Lily, but for what we'd been, for the family we'd lost, for the innocence of believing that love was simple and right always triumphed. James came home and found me there. He held me while I sobbed into his shoulder, all the grief I'd been holding finally breaking free. She's really going. She's choosing him. I know. Ryan told me yesterday, asked if we could still have a relationship, him and me. What did you tell him? I told him I need time, that what he did broke something between us that might not be fixable, but that he's still my brother and I still love him, even if I don't like him very much right now. Is that how you really feel? I don't know how I feel, but it's what I said. We held each other in the fading afternoon light, two people trying to find solid ground in a landscape that kept shifting beneath us. On New Year's Eve, I got a text from Lily. Starting fresh in Chicago tomorrow, I love you, cousin. I hope someday we can find our way back to each other. I typed and deleted a dozen responses before settling on, I hope you find what you're looking for, but I won't be waiting when you realize what you gave up. She didn't respond. January came cold and sharp. Amy was settling into single motherhood with grace and strength I admired. Claire was thriving, hitting milestones early despite her rough start. Ryan sent monthly checks and occasional photos from his new life in Chicago, looking happy in a way that made me irrationally angry. David was dating someone new, a teacher at his daughter's school who was kind and uncomplicated. He seemed lighter, like being free of Lily had released some weight he didn't know he'd been carrying. My parents and Lily's parents were slowly finding their way back to each other. Aunt Carol had apologized for blaming my mom. They were having coffee again, talking carefully around the lily-shaped hole in their relationship. And me? I was learning to live with the loss, learning that you could love someone and still need distance from them, that family wasn't always enough to overcome betrayal, that some bridges once burned couldn't be rebuilt no matter how much you wanted them to be. But I was also learning that healing didn't require forgiveness, that you could move forward while still carrying grief, that choosing sides sometimes meant choosing yourself, your values, your peace over unconditional loyalty. Lily had chosen her happiness over everything, and in her absence, I was choosing mine too. It's been 2 years since Lily moved to Chicago with Ryan. 2 years since our family fractured along fault lines we didn't know existed. 2 years of learning to live in the aftermath of choices that weren't mine but changed my life anyway. Claire just turned 2 last month. She's walking now, talking in those adorable toddler sentences that make everyone laugh. Amy brings her to Sunday dinners at my parents' house. Yes, we've started those again, carefully reconstructed around the people who remained. Claire calls me Aunt Jenna and James, Uncle James, and she has no idea that half her DNA comes from a man who chose another life over being her full-time father. Ryan sees her once a month, like he promised, flies in from Chicago, takes her to the zoo or the park, plays devoted dad for a weekend before disappearing again. Amy handles it with grace I couldn't manage. She says Claire deserves to know her father, even if her father didn't choose to be present. I admire that, even as it breaks my heart a little. David remarried last spring. His new wife, Catherine, is wonderful, warm and steady, with 2 kids from her previous marriage. They blended their families beautifully, and David smiles now in a way he never quite did with Lily. Real smiles that reach his eyes. Sometimes the wrong relationship ending is the kindest thing that can happen, even when it doesn't feel kind at the time. I don't talk to Lily anymore. She stopped reaching out after that first year, and I stopped feeling guilty about the silence. I heard through Aunt Carol that she and Ryan got married in a small ceremony in Chicago. No family invited, just them and 2 witnesses from Ryan's office. Aunt Carol showed me a photo once,
Lily in a simple white dress, Ryan beside her, both of them smiling. They looked happy. I felt nothing when I saw it. Not anger, not sadness, not even the ghost of our old friendship. Just a distant observation, like looking at strangers in a magazine. "Do you think she's really happy?" Aunt Carol asked me, her voice small and hoping. "I don't know, Aunt Carol. I hope so. I hope it was worth what she gave up." I meant it, surprisingly, not because I'd forgiven her, but because I'd released her. Released the anger, the betrayal, the need to understand. She'd made her choices. I had made mine. And we were both living with the consequences in our separate worlds. James talks to Ryan occasionally now. Careful, surface conversations about work and weather, avoiding anything deeper. The brother relationship they had is gone, replaced by something polite and distant. James grieved that loss quietly, late at night when he thought I was asleep. But he's made peace with it too, in his way. People show you who they are, and we have to believe them, even when it hurts. He said to me once, "Our family gatherings are smaller now, but somehow more authentic. We don't pretend everything is perfect. We acknowledge the loss, the empty spaces, the relationships that didn't survive. But we also celebrate what remains. Claire's milestones, David's new marriage, small victories and ordinary joys." Last week, I ran into someone who knew Lily and asked how she was doing. I realized I had no idea. Didn't know if she was still in Chicago, still with Ryan, still happy with the choice she'd made. And more surprisingly, I didn't need to know. That's when I understood I'd actually healed. Not by forgetting, not by forgiving, but by simply moving forward, by building a life that didn't require her presence or her explanation, by choosing every day the people who chose me back. I think about her sometimes, my cousin who was like a sister. Wonder if she thinks about me, if she regrets the cost of her happiness, if she's found whatever she was looking for when she burned down her life. But mostly, I think about what I learned from watching her choose herself at everyone else's expense. I learned that loyalty has limits, that love without integrity is just selfishness with better packaging, that family isn't an obligation to enable bad behavior, but a choice to show up for people who show up for you. I learned that you can grieve someone who's still alive, that some goodbyes don't come with closure, just distance, and that healing doesn't always look like reconciliation. Sometimes it looks like acceptance, accepting that people change, that relationships end, that the family you thought you'd have forever can disappear in the time it takes for someone to say, "I'm in love with someone else."
Most importantly, I learned that protecting your peace isn't selfish, that boundaries aren't betrayals, that you can wish someone well from a distance while refusing to let their choices continue to hurt you. Amy taught me that. Quiet, strong Amy who could have been consumed by bitterness but chose grace instead. She could have demanded we all cut off Ryan completely, could have made us choose sides more violently. Instead, she simply drew her boundaries and lived within them, allowing everyone else to find their own path. Clara will grow up knowing her story is complicated, that her father made choices that hurt people, that love isn't always enough to excuse betrayal. But she'll also grow up surrounded by people who chose to stay, who worked through the hard parts, who prove that family can survive fractures if the foundation is strong enough. And maybe that's the real lesson in all of this. Not that love conquers all. It doesn't. Not that family stays together no matter what. It won't. But that we get to choose every single day what we're willing to accept in the name of love, what we're willing to sacrifice, what we're willing to walk away from. Lily chose her happiness over everything else. I chose my integrity over unconditional loyalty. Neither choice was easy. Both came with profound loss. But 2 years later, I can honestly say I don't regret mine. I wake up in a life I'm proud of, surrounded by people who value the same things I do: honesty, commitment, showing up even when it's hard. I look at myself in the mirror and recognize the woman looking back. I don't know if Lily can say the same. The sun is setting outside my window, casting golden light across the photos on my mantle. James and me on our anniversary, Claire's first birthday, David and Catherine's wedding, Amy holding her daughter, my parents older now, but still together, still showing up. Lily isn't in any of these photos, but her absence doesn't haunt them anymore. It's just a fact, like the weather. Some people stay, some people go, and life continues either way. I hear James's car in the driveway. We're having dinner with Amy and Claire tonight, then heading to my parents afterward for dessert. A regular Tuesday, full of people who chose to stay. And that, I've learned, is more than enough. The phone on my counter buzzes. A message from an unknown number. "Jenna, it's Lily. I know I don't have the right to ask, but could we talk? I miss you. I miss us. Please." I read it twice, feel the old pull, the decades of friendship, the shared history, the girl who was like my sister. Feel it, acknowledge it, and then do what I've learned to do. I delete the message. Some chapters close not with dramatic endings, but with quiet decisions, with choosing again and again the life you want over the life someone else needs you to have. I grab my keys and head out to meet my family, the one I have, not the one I lost, and I don't look back.